The massive crystal halls of Nexus Prime buzzed with activity. Alien beings from across the galaxy moved through the corridors, their forms as varied as the stars themselves. Some floated like living clouds of gas, others walked on multiple legs, made of living stone, and a few glided on wings that seemed to be made of pure light. In the center of the great building stood the Galactic Council chambers. Today was special. Today, they would discuss a new species that had just sent signals into space. Kai Do-hun sat in a small chair that looked too big for him. He was the only human in the room, and he felt very small among the giant aliens around him. 6 months ago, his research ship had been captured near Earth. Instead of being harmed, the aliens had been curious about him. They wanted to learn about his species. Now he was about to present what he had learned to the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Council leader, a being that looked like a mountain of moving crystals, spoke in a voice that sounded like wind through caves. We will now hear about the new species from the planet they call Earth. Kai stood up, his hands shaking slightly. He activated the holographic display in front of him. A blue and green planet appeared, spinning slowly in the air. "This is Earth," Kai began. "My home planet. The dominant species there is called humans. We are mammals. We walk on 2 legs and have no natural armor or weapons." Around the chamber, alien council members made sounds that Kai had learned meant they were not impressed. Some were clicking, others were humming low notes. The display changed to show a human figure. It looked very plain next to the powerful alien forms around them. "Humans live for about 70 to 80 years, Kai continued. "We reproduce slowly, usually having only 1 or 2 offspring at a time. Our skin is thin and easily damaged. We need to wear artificial coverings to protect us from our own environment." Council member Zethra, who looked like a giant spider made of metal, spoke up. "How tall are these creatures?" "Most humans are between 5 and 6 feet tall," Kai answered. Zethra made a sound like metal scraping against stone. "Very small. What is their technology level?" Kai felt his cheeks grow warm. "We have just learned to travel in space. Our fastest ships can barely reach our nearest star." The gas being called Nothwi floated closer. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind, whistling through holes. "What weapons do they possess?" "Mostly chemical explosives and metal projectiles," Kai said quietly. "Nothing that uses energy fields or plasma." The chamber filled with the sounds of alien laughter. Some clicked their claws, others made whooshing sounds, and a few tapped their many feet on the floor. Council leader Vextar's crystal body flashed with different colors. "This species sounds very primitive. Show us their planet's conditions." The display changed again. Now it showed information about Earth's surface, its weather, and its atmosphere. "Earth has a thick atmosphere," Kai explained. "It is mostly nitrogen and oxygen. The surface has large amounts of liquid water. Temperatures range from very cold to very hot, depending on the location and season." "Oxygen?" Zethra leaned forward. "How much oxygen?" Kai checked his notes. "About 21% of the atmosphere is oxygen." Several council members made surprised sounds, but they seemed to lose interest quickly. "The gravity on Earth is about standard," Kai continued. "Humans have adapted to live in many different environments on their planet. Some live in hot deserts, others in frozen areas, and some even live high in mountains where the air is thin." Nothwi floated in a circle, which Kai had learned meant the being was thinking. "Are these humans aggressive?" Kai hesitated. This was a hard question. Humans can be very peaceful, but they also fight wars sometimes. They compete with each other, but they also work together when they face big problems. Typical primitive behavior, Vexatar said, the crystals in its body flashing dismissively. They fight among themselves instead of working together. But they are getting better, Kai said quickly. In recent years, humans have been working together more often. They share knowledge and resources across their planet. The council leader made a deep sound that meant the discussion was almost over. What is your recommendation for classification? Kai had been dreading this question. He knew the galactic classification system. Category 1 species were the most advanced and powerful. They got full membership in the Galactic Council and could make decisions that affected the whole galaxy. Category 2 species were allowed to trade and travel freely, but had no political power. Category 3 species were considered too weak or primitive to be trusted with advanced technology. I believe humans should be classified as Category 3, Kai said, his voice barely audible. The chamber erupted in agreement. Clicks, whistles, and tapping sounds filled the air. Category 3. It is, Vextar announced. They will be offered basic trade relationships and protection services. They must pay the standard tribute and follow galactic laws about space travel. Zethra raised one of its metal legs. Should we be concerned about their aggression? Vextar's crystals flashed in what Kai knew was the alien equivalent of laughter. A species that cannot survive without artificial protection from their own environment? That uses primitive chemical weapons? That fights among themselves? They are no threat to anyone but themselves. We will send them the standard category. 3 welcome package, Nothwi added. It will explain how they can properly join galactic civilization. Kai felt a mix of relief and shame. Relief because his people would not be destroyed or enslaved. Shame because he knew the aliens saw humans as weak and pathetic. The council leader's voice boomed through the chamber. This meeting is ended. The species known as humans will be granted Category 3 status. They will be contacted according to standard protocols. As the aliens began to leave, Kai remained seated. He thought about his home, about the people he had left behind. Soon they would receive their first official contact from the galactic community. They would be told they were too weak to be equals, too primitive to be trusted, too fragile to be respected. But Kai knew something the aliens did not seem to understand. Yes, humans needed protection from their environment. Yes, they used simple weapons. Yes, they were small and had thin skin. But humans had something else. They never gave up. When faced with problems that seemed impossible, they found ways to solve them. When their environment tried to kill them, they learned to master it. When they disagreed with each other, they eventually found ways to work together. The aliens had looked at humans and seen weakness. They had seen a species that needed artificial protection and primitive tools. They had seen beings that fought among themselves and lived short lives. They had not seen the strength it took to survive on a planet where the weather could kill you, where the very air was dangerous to most galactic life, where natural disasters happened regularly. They had not seen the intelligence it took to go from using simple tools to traveling in space in just a few thousand years. Most importantly, they had not really studied what made humans so adaptable. They had looked at Earth's atmosphere and seen just another hostile environment. They had not asked why evolution on such a planet would create beings like humans. Kai gathered his papers and left the chamber. Soon he would return to Earth with the aliens' message. He would have to tell his people that they had been judged and found wanting, but he also knew that this was just the beginning. The aliens might think they understood humans, but they were wrong. Very wrong. And someday they would learn just how wrong they were. 3 weeks later, the official message from the Galactic Council arrived at Earth. It came in the form of a massive data packet that appeared in every major government computer system at exactly the same time. Lee Min-ho stood in the emergency meeting room in Seoul, staring at the translated message on the large screen. Around the table sat representatives from every major nation on Earth. The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of the air conditioning. "Read it again," said the representative from Brazil, her voice tight with anger. Lee cleared his throat and began reading. "Greetings to the species known as humans. The Galactic Council has reviewed your application for membership in the galactic community. You have been classified as a Category 3 species." He paused and looked around the room. Every face showed the same expression of disbelief and frustration. "Category 3 species are granted the following privileges," Lee continued. "You may engage in basic trade with approved galactic merchants. You may request protection from galactic threats. You may send small groups to study at galactic educational facilities." The representative from Nigeria slammed his hand on the table. "Privileges? This sounds like they think they own us." Lee nodded grimly and kept reading. "Category 3 species must follow these requirements. You must pay an annual protection tribute equal to 10% of your planet's total resource. Production. You may not develop weapons above your current technology level. You may not travel beyond your local star system without galactic approval." "This is insane," said the woman from Australia. "They want us to pay them for protection we never asked for." Lee reached the final part of the message. "To help you understand your place in galactic civilization, we are sending a cultural education package. This will teach you how to properly interact with your galactic superiors. We understand this may be difficult for primitive species to accept, but compliance is necessary for your own safety." The room erupted in angry voices. Representatives shouted in different languages, but the meaning was clear in any tongue. Nobody was happy about being called primitive or weak. The representative from Russia stood up, his face red with anger. "Do they really think we will just accept this? Pay them money and bow our heads like servants?" Lee set down the message and walked to another screen. "There's more. They sent technical specifications for the tribute payments. They want raw materials, energy sources, and manufactured goods. They also want us to provide biological samples for their research." "Biological samples?" The representative from Japan looked alarmed. "What kind of biological samples?" Before Lee could answer, an aide rushed into the room with a tablet in her hands. "Sir, we just received another transmission. This one is from Kai Dohan." Lee took the tablet and read quickly. His expression grew darker with each line. "What does it say?" asked the representative from Egypt. "Kai managed to send us a private message through the alien communication system," Lee explained. "He says the aliens barely spent any time studying us. They looked at basic information about our biology and technology, then decided we were too weak to be important." Park Ji-won, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke. She was Earth's top military strategist, and her voice was calm but cold. "What exactly did they learn about us?" Lee read from the tablet. "According to Kai, they know we are mammals with thin skin and no natural weapons. They know our technology level and our basic atmospheric requirements. They know we fight wars. Sometimes. That's about it." "That's all?" Park Ji-won raised an eyebrow. They made this decision based on that little information? Apparently, yes, Lee confirmed. Kai says they spent more time discussing what kind of protection tax to charge us than they did actually studying human capabilities. The representative from Canada shook her head in disbelief. They don't know about our industrial capacity, our scientific achievements, our adaptability. They don't seem to care, Lee replied. In their view, we are just another weak species. That needs their guidance and protection. Park Ji-won stood up and walked to the window. Outside, Seoul buzzed with activity. Millions of people went about their daily lives, completely unaware that aliens had just told their planet it was too primitive to govern itself. This could actually work in our favor, she said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. Think about it, Park Ji-won continued. They have underestimated us completely. They think we are weak and primitive. They expect us to be grateful for their protection and afraid of their power. How is that good for us? Asked the representative from India. Park Ji-won turned around with a slight smile on her face. Because while they are not paying attention to us, we can learn everything about them. Their technology, their weaknesses, their military capabilities. They won't see us as a threat until it's too late. Lee nodded slowly. You're thinking we should pretend to comply while we figure out how to deal with them? Exactly, Park Ji-won said. Let them think we are harmless. Meanwhile, we study their technology, improve our capabilities, and learn everything we can about galactic politics. The representative from the United Kingdom looked worried. But what about the tribute they want? 10% of our entire planet's production is enormous. We'll find a way to minimize that, Park Ji-won replied. Maybe we give them raw materials instead of finished goods. Maybe we find ways to hide our actual production levels. Lee pulled up another screen showing Earth's military installations. What about their restriction on weapon development? Park Ji-won's smile grew wider. They specified we cannot develop weapons above our current technology level, but they don't know what our current technology level actually is. The room fell silent as everyone understood what she meant. You're saying they don't know about our classified military projects? Asked the representative from France. According to Kai's message, they barely looked at our public technology, Park Ji-won confirmed. They have no idea what we're capable of in secret. Lee felt a surge of hope for the first time since reading the alien message. So we continue developing our best technology in secret while giving them the impression we are doing exactly what they told us? Right, Park Ji-won agreed. And we use Kai as our inside source. He can learn about their technology and send us information. The representative from Germany leaned forward. This is a dangerous game. If they discover we are not as weak as they think, then we better make sure we are strong enough to handle that situation when it comes, Park Ji-won replied. Lee looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. 6 hours ago, they had been angry and humiliated. Now they looked determined. All in favor of sending a message accepting their Category 3 classification, while secretly preparing for the day we can renegotiate as equals. Every hand in the room went up. 3 days later, Earth sent its official response to the Galactic Council. The message was polite and grateful. It thanked the aliens for their generous offer of protection and promised that humans would do their best to learn proper galactic behavior. The aliens read the message and were satisfied. Another weak species had accepted its place in the galactic order. They filed Earth's acceptance letter and moved on to other business. They did not notice that human deep space telescopes had started scanning for alien ships. They did not know that human scientists were already working to decode alien technology from the samples Kai had managed to send home. They did not realize that human military commanders were studying alien tactics and looking for weaknesses. Most importantly, they did not understand that they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. They had given humans a reason to prove them wrong. 2 months after Earth's acceptance into Category 3 status, the first alien trade ships arrived in the solar system. They were massive vessels that dwarfed anything humans had ever built. The ships took position near Earth's moon and began broadcasting instructions for trade protocols. Kim Yuna stood in her laboratory at Seoul National University, staring at the small piece of alien technology in front of her. It was a communication device that the aliens had sent as part of their cultural education package. According to the aliens, it should take human scientists at least 50 years to understand how it worked. Kim had figured it out in 3 weeks. The device used a form of quantum entanglement that human scientists had only theorized about. But once Kim saw how the aliens did it, the solution was obvious. She had already built a prototype of her own version, and it worked better than the original. "Professor Kim," called her assistant from across the laboratory. "The alien trade representative wants to speak with you." Kim quickly covered her prototype with a cloth and activated the alien communication device. A holographic image appeared in the air above it. The figure looked like a combination of an octopus and a tree, with tentacles that ended in leaves, instead of suckers. "Greetings, human Kim Yuna," the alien said in perfect Korean. "I am Trade Representative Velnash. I am here to monitor your progress with our technology." "Hello," Kim replied politely. "Thank you for this educational opportunity." Velnash's tentacles moved in what Kim had learned was the alien equivalent of a nod. "Have you made any progress understanding the device?" Kim pretended to look confused. "It's very complicated. I think I understand maybe 5% of how it works. It will take us many years to learn more." "This is expected," Velnash said, with satisfaction. Most Category 3 species require decades to understand even basic galactic technology. Do not feel bad about your slow progress. After the conversation ended, Kim removed the cloth from her prototype. If only the alien knew that she had not only understood their device, but had already improved it. Her version was smaller, used less energy, and had a much longer range. But Kim was not the only human surprising the aliens. At the International Space Station, Song Woo-jin was conducting what the aliens thought was a simple physical fitness test. The aliens had provided a standard galactic strength measurement device and asked for data about human physical capabilities. Song completed the test easily, but the results confused the alien observers. "There must be an error in the measurement," reported alien scientist Kethmore to his supervisor. "The human lifted weight equal to twice its body mass. This should be impossible for such a fragile creature." "Check the device for malfunctions," his supervisor replied. "Category 3 species cannot possess such strength." They checked the device 3 times. It worked perfectly. "Perhaps this human is unusually strong for its species," Kethmore suggested. To test this theory, they asked for 20 more humans to take the same test. All 20 achieved similar results. Some did even better. In Brazil, Dr. Han Nari was examining an alien medical scanner that was supposed to analyze human biology. The aliens had said it would help them understand what kinds of diseases humans might catch from galactic contact, but when Han used the device, It gave her information that the aliens had never intended to share. The scanner revealed that human immune systems were far more complex and adaptable than the aliens realized. It showed that humans could survive diseases that would kill most galactic species instantly. It also revealed something else that made Han's eyes widen in surprise. The scanner detected that Earth's atmosphere contained levels of oxygen that the device classified as extremely hazardous to most galactic life forms. Han ran the scan several times to make sure it was not a mistake. Each time, the result was the same. The air that humans breathed every day would be deadly poison to most of the galaxy. Meanwhile, in Geneva, mathematician Choi Seung-ho was working on what the aliens had called impossible mathematical problems. These were equations that, according to galactic records, no Category 3 species had ever solved. Choi solved them in 6 hours. The alien education system had sent these problems as examples of the kind of advanced thinking that humans might achieve after centuries of galactic education. They were meant to inspire humans to work harder at learning. Instead, Choi not only solved the problems, but found more elegant solutions than the ones in the galactic database. When he submitted his answers, the alien computer system flagged them as errors. The computer had been programmed to assume that Category 3 species could not solve such complex problems. Across the planet, similar incidents were happening every day. Human engineers were improving alien technology. Human athletes were breaking what aliens considered physically impossible records. Human scientists were solving problems that stumped alien researchers, but the aliens explained away each incident. When humans showed unexpected strength, the aliens decided their measuring devices must be broken. When humans solved complex problems, quickly the aliens assumed they had made lucky guesses. When humans improved alien technology, the aliens thought they must have accidentally discovered something they did not understand. The most concerning reports came from the alien observation posts that had been set up around Earth's solar system. Supervisor, reported observer Kenthi, the humans are displaying unusual behavior. What kind of behavior? Asked Supervisor Morgath. They are working together across their entire planet in ways we have never seen from a Category 3 species. They are sharing resources, information, and technology at an unprecedented rate. Morgath's gas form rippled with what humans would have recognized as laughter. They are probably frightened by galactic contact. Primitive species often band together when they feel threatened. But, sir, Kenthi continued, they are also advancing their technology much faster than our models predict. They have improved their space travel capabilities by 30% in just 2 months. Impossible, Morgath replied. Category 3. Species cannot advance that quickly. Your measurements must be wrong. Kenthi checked his instruments again. The measurements were correct. What the aliens did not understand was that they had given humanity exactly what it needed. A challenge that required the entire species to work together. For the first time in human history, every nation on Earth was cooperating toward the same goal. The smartest minds from every culture were sharing their knowledge freely. The strongest athletes were training together to push the limits of human physical capability. The most creative engineers were building on each other's ideas without worrying about patents or profits. The aliens had expected humanity to be grateful for their guidance and dependent on their protection. Instead, they had accidentally created the most motivated and unified human civilization in history, and still, the aliens did not see what was happening. They continued to file reports classifying humans as a weak, primitive species that would need centuries of guidance to become useful members of galactic society. They continued to demand tribute payments and restrict human space travel. They continued to believe that they understood exactly what humans were capable of. In her laboratory, Kim Yuna put the finishing touches on her improved communication device. Tomorrow, she would test its ability to contact Kai Do-hoon directly, bypassing alien monitoring systems. It was time for humanity to start communicating without alien supervision. It was time to show the galaxy what humans could really do when they were properly motivated. But not yet. First, they needed to learn more about their new galactic neighbors. They needed to understand alien weaknesses, alien politics, and alien technology. The aliens thought they were teaching humans to be good, galactic citizens. They had no idea they were actually teaching humans how to take over the galaxy. 6 months after first contact, Kai Do-hoon was no longer just a prisoner. The aliens had given him a small laboratory and access to their research databases. They thought they were being generous by letting him study galactic science. What they did not know was that Kai was learning everything he could about alien weaknesses. Today, he was working with Dr. Han Nari through Kim Yuna's secret communication system. Han had smuggled herself aboard an alien medical research ship by volunteering for a cultural exchange program. The aliens thought she was there to learn from them. Kai, Han's voice came through the hidden communicator. I've been studying alien biology for 3 months now. I think I understand why they dismissed us so quickly. Kai looked around to make sure no aliens were watching. What did you find? Most galactic species evolved on planets with very stable environments, Han explained. Their worlds have steady temperatures, calm weather, and atmospheric compositions that barely change. They never had to deal with ice ages, volcanic eruptions, or major environmental disasters. That explains why they are so specialized, Kai replied. Each species seems perfectly adapted to one specific type of environment. Exactly, Han continued. The crystalline Veltar can only survive in low-gravity, low-temperature conditions. The gas-based Nethri need very specific atmospheric pressures. The silicon-based Korth require high radiation levels that would kill most other species. Kai thought about this. So when they looked at humans, they saw a species that needs artificial protection from our environment. They assumed we were weak because we don't have natural adaptations to one specific set of conditions. Right. But they missed the point completely, Han said, excitement creeping into her voice. We don't have specialized adaptations because we don't need them. We have general adaptations that let us survive in almost any environment. Before Kai could respond, alarms started blaring throughout the alien research facility. He quickly shut off the communicator and pretended to be studying galactic mathematics. Alien Security Chief Vorthka burst into the laboratory, its metal body clanking with each step. Human Kai Do-hoon, there has been an incident in your home system. Kai felt his heart racing but tried to look calm. What kind of incident? Your species has refused to pay the required tribute, Vorthka announced. They claim they need more time to gather the resources. This was not entirely true. Earth's governments had sent exactly what they promised to send, but they had been very creative about calculating their total resource production. By hiding their most advanced manufacturing and focusing on raw materials, they had reduced their tribute payment by 60%. I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding, Kai said carefully. Humans are still learning galactic protocols. Vorthka's optical sensors focused on Kai with mechanical precision. Perhaps. But there are other concerning reports. Human space travel has increased beyond authorized levels. Human technology development appears to be accelerating unnaturally, and human military exercises have become much more frequent. Kai tried to look confused. I don't understand why any of that would be concerning, because Category 3 species are not supposed to be capable of such rapid advancement, Vorthka replied. The Galactic Council is beginning to question whether humans were properly classified. After Vorthka left, Kai immediately reactivated his secret communicator. This time he contacted Park Jiwon directly. Jiwon, we have a problem, he said as soon as the connection was established. Park's voice came through clearly. I know. Our intelligence indicates that several alien species are asking questions about human capabilities. What triggered their suspicion? Song Woojin's military demonstration last week, Park explained. We were testing our new combat capabilities against alien scenarios. Apparently, some of their observers were watching. 3 days earlier, Song Woojin had led a team of human soldiers through a training exercise designed to simulate fighting in alien environments. The exercise had been based on intelligence gathered from alien military databases. The humans had completed the exercise in half the expected time, and with tactics that alien observers described as impossibly creative. What did they see? Kai asked. Song's team was supposed to assault a fortified position in low gravity and thin atmosphere, Park replied. The alien tactical computer predicted it would take at least 6 hours and result in heavy casualties. How long did it actually take? 47 minutes, 0 casualties. Kai felt a mixture of pride and worry. How did they do it so fast? Song realized that the alien fortification was designed to defend against alien attack patterns. Park explained. Alien species tend to attack directly using their natural advantages. The Veltar use their crystal formations for protection, the Nethri use their gas form to infiltrate, the Korth use their radiation resistance to power through defensive barriers. But humans don't have any of those natural advantages, Kai said. Exactly. So Song's team used tactics that the defenders never expected. They attacked from multiple directions, used deception and misdirection, and constantly adapted their strategy as the situation changed. And the alien observers realized that Category 3 species aren't supposed to be capable of that kind of tactical thinking, Kai concluded. Now they want a full review of human classification, Park said, which could be good or bad for us depending on what they find. Kai activated another channel on his communicator. This time, he contacted Choi Sung-ho at the Mathematics Research Center. Sung-ho, how is your work on the Galactic database going? I've been analyzing their classification system, Choi replied. I think I understand why they made their mistake. Explain. Galactic species classification is based on very specific criteria, Choi said. Physical strength, natural weapons, environmental tolerance, technology level, and social organization. But the system assumes that all species develop in similar ways. What do you mean? Every other galactic species specialized early in their evolution, Choi explained. They developed 1 or 2 major advantages and built their entire civilization around those advantages. The Veltar focused on crystal manipulation, the Nethri mastered gas dynamics, the Korth learned to harness radiation. And humans? Humans are generalists. We never specialized in one area because our environment kept changing. Instead of developing one major advantage, we developed the ability to learn and adapt quickly to any situation. Kai was beginning to understand the scope of the alien mistake. So when they evaluated us, they looked for specializations and didn't find any. They assumed that meant we were weak. Right, Choi continued. but what they actually found was a species that can learn to do anything. We might not have natural crystal manipulation abilities, but we can build machines that do the same thing. We might not be natural gas form beings, but we can create technology that gives us the same advantages. And we can do it faster than they can because we are not limited by our biology, Kai realized. Exactly. Their specializations make them powerful in specific situations, but limit their adaptability. Our lack of specialization makes us adaptable to any situation. Kai felt a chill run down his spine. If the aliens figured this out, they would realize that humans represented something completely new in galactic history. A species that could match or exceed any other species' advantages through technology and adaptation. That realization could go one of two ways. Either the aliens would be fascinated and want to study humans more closely, or they would be terrified and want to eliminate the threat before it became too dangerous. Kai! Park Ji-won's voice interrupted his thoughts. We just received a priority message from our intelligence network. The Galactic Council has ordered a complete reanalysis of human capabilities. When? Starting immediately. They are sending a full research team to Earth within the month. Kai felt his stomach drop. What kind of research team? Military analysts, biological specialists, and atmospheric scientists. Atmospheric scientists? Kai asked. Why would they send atmospheric scientists? We don't know, Park replied. But whatever they are looking for, we need to be ready for it. Kai closed the communication and sat back in his chair. For months, humanity had been playing a careful game of appearing weak while secretly growing stronger. They had been buying time to learn about galactic technology and politics. But now the game was about to change. The aliens were finally going to take a serious look at what humans were really capable of, and once they started looking closely at Earth's environment and human biology, they were going to discover something that would change everything. They were going to learn the truth about what it meant to be a species that evolved on a death world. The question was, would that knowledge make them respect humans as equals? Or would it make them see humans as the most dangerous threat the galaxy had ever known? The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been called for the first time in over 200 years. Council chambers across the galaxy buzzed with urgent activity as representatives from every major species gathered to discuss the shocking revelation about humans. Dr. Mexthar stood before the assembled council, his crystalline body still flickering with agitation. Behind him, holographic displays showed the atmospheric data from Earth. Honored council members, he began, I must report that our initial classification of the human species was catastrophically incorrect. Council leader Vexitar's crystal formations pulsed with attention. Explain your findings, Dr. Mexthar. Humans do not simply tolerate Earth's atmospheric conditions, Mexthar announced. They require them. The oxygen concentration that would kill most of us in minutes is necessary for human survival. The chamber erupted in surprised sounds from dozens of different species. Clicks, whistles, electronic beeps, and harmonic tones filled the air. Zethra raised one of her metal appendages. Are you saying that humans evolved on a death world? I am saying that humans evolved on what we would classify as the most hostile environment we have ever encountered, Mexthar replied. And they didn't just survive it. They mastered it. Nothwi floated closer to the display, his gas form rippling with concern. Show us the implications of this discovery. Mexthar activated a new holographic display. Based on Earth's atmospheric composition, we must recalculate every assumption about human capabilities. The display showed a comparison chart between humans and other galactic species. As Mexthar spoke, the human ratings began climbing dramatically. Physical endurance. If humans can survive in an oxygen-rich environment, their cellular energy production must be far superior to our models predicted. Revised rating, exceptional. Environmental adaptability. Humans live comfortably in conditions that would require our best environmental suits. They have colonized every climate zone on their planet, from frozen polar regions to scorching deserts. Revised rating, unprecedented. Metabolic efficiency. The human ability to process oxygen for energy production suggests metabolic capabilities that exceed our most optimized species. Revised rating, superior. Council member Korthvex, whose silicon-based form glowed with radiation, interrupted the presentation. Dr. Mexthar, are you suggesting that humans are physically superior to galactic norms? I am suggesting that humans are the product of evolutionary pressures that no other known species has faced and survived, Mexthar replied. Consider this. Earth regularly experiences what we would classify as extinction-level environmental changes. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, massive climate shifts. He activated another display showing Earth's geological history. Humans and their ancestors survived multiple ice ages that would have wiped out most galactic civilizations. They survived the eruption of supervolcanoes that covered their planet in ash. They survived asteroid impacts that changed their global climate. And they didn't just survive, added Dr. Alien researcher Keith Nova, who had been studying human historical records. They adapted, learned, and thrived. Each environmental challenge made them stronger and more versatile. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Vextar's crystals pulsed slowly. Continue your analysis, Dr. Mexthar. Technological development. We initially classified human technology as primitive. This was a severe error. Humans developed space travel in less than 100 years after discovering powered flight. Most galactic species required over 1,000 years for similar advancement. But their weapons are still chemical-based, Zethra protested. They're publicly known weapons, Mexthar corrected. Dr. Kethnova, please share your findings about human military capabilities. Kethnova activated a new holographic display showing footage from Song Wu-jin's military exercises. Humans demonstrate tactical thinking that our military computers classify as impossible for Category 3 species, she announced. They use deception, misdirection, and adaptive strategy in ways that no other known species employs. The display showed human soldiers moving through simulated alien environments with fluid grace and deadly efficiency. Notice how they constantly change their approach based on new information, Kethnova continued. Most galactic species stick to predetermined tactics based on their natural advantages. Humans improvise solutions in real time. Why do they fight so differently? Asked Nothwi. Because they have no dominant natural advantage to rely on, Kethnova explained. Every other species uses tactics based on their evolutionary specializations. Crystal beings use defensive formations, gas beings use infiltration, radiation-based species use brute force, humans use whatever works. Korthvex leaned forward. You're saying they are natural tacticians because their environment forced them to be adaptable? Exactly. And there's more. Kethnova activated footage of human athletes and workers. Human physical capabilities far exceed our initial estimates. They can run for hours without stopping. They can lift objects many times their body weight They can survive in environments that would require protective equipment for most galactic species. But they look so fragile, Zethra said weakly. That's because we were measuring the wrong things, Mexthar replied. We looked for natural armor, claws, protective shells. We didn't look for endurance, adaptability, and resilience. He showed a video of human mountain climbers scaling peaks in thin atmosphere and freezing temperatures. These humans are climbing mountains in atmospheric conditions that would incapacitate most of us, in temperatures that would shut down our biological systems, using minimal protective equipment. The Council watched in stunned silence as humans casually operated in environments that would require full environmental suits for most galactic species. Cognitive capabilities, Mexthar continued. Human problem-solving abilities are unprecedented. Dr. Kim Yuna reverse-engineered our quantum communication technology in 3 weeks. Dr. Choi Sung-ho solved mathematical problems that we classified as impossible for primitive species. How is this possible? Vextar asked. Because humans are not primitive, Mexthar said bluntly. They are the survivors of a death world. Every challenge that would have destroyed other species made them stronger. He activated a final display showing Earth's current state. In the 6 months since we classified them as Category 3, humans have advanced their technology by what should have been decades of progress. They have unified their entire planet for the first time in their history. They have begun developing capabilities that rival our own. And they did all this while pretending to be weak and grateful for our protection, added Kethnova. The implications hit the Council like a shockwave. Are you saying they deliberately deceived us? Korthvex demanded. I am saying they are far more intelligent than we gave them credit for, Mexthar replied. While we were dismissing them as primitive, they were studying us, learning our technology, and preparing for the day when they would no longer need our protection. Zethra's metal body clanked as she shifted nervously. How long do we have before they surpass us? Based on their current rate of advancement, Mexthar said quietly. I estimate less than 5 years before human technology equals galactic standards. Less than 10 years before they exceed them. The chamber erupted again, this time with sounds of alarm and concern. Honored Council! Vextar's voice boomed over the noise. We must vote on immediate reclassification of the human species. What classification do you recommend? Asked Nothwi. Mexthar's crystalline body flashed with colors that indicated deep uncertainty. Based on their survival capabilities, technological advancement rate, and adaptive intelligence, humans should be classified as Category 1 immediately. But based on their potential for future development, he paused, his entire form flickering. I believe humans may represent an entirely new category. They are not just another advanced species. They are the products of evolutionary pressures that created something the galaxy has never seen before. What are you suggesting? Vexitar asked. I am suggesting that within a generation, humans may not just be equals in galactic civilization. They may be the dominant species. The silence that followed was absolute. Finally, Zethra spoke in a voice that sounded like grinding metal. Then, we have a choice to make. Do we welcome them as equals now, while we still have something to offer them? Or do we try to contain them while we still have the advantage? The question hung in the air like a death sentence. Because everyone in the chamber knew that if they chose wrong, it might be the last decision the Galactic Council ever made. 1 year after first contact, the Galactic Council chambers looked completely different. Where once only alien forms had gathered, now humans sat as equal representatives among the galaxy's most powerful species. The change was more than symbolic. It was revolutionary. Lee Min-ho stood at the primary speaker's platform, addressing the assembled council for the first time as Earth's official representative. Behind him, holographic displays showed the remarkable progress humanity had made in just 12 months. Honored council members, Lee began, 1 year ago, you welcomed humanity to galactic civilization as a Category 3 species. You offered us protection, guidance, and the opportunity to learn from more advanced cultures. Around the chamber, alien representatives listened with attention that would have been unimaginable a year earlier. Where once they had barely acknowledged human presence, now they hung on every word. Today I stand before you not as a supplicant seeking your approval, but as a representative of a species that has found its place in the galactic community. And that place is not as followers, but as partners. Lee activated the first holographic display showing technological advancement statistics. In the past year, human scientists have developed improvements to communication technology that increased galactic data transmission rates by 400%. Human engineers have designed environmental systems that allow exploration of previously uninhabitable worlds. Human mathematicians have solved computational problems that had challenged galactic civilization for centuries. Council leader Vextar's crystalline form pulsed with acknowledgement. Human Lee Min-ho, your species' contributions have indeed been remarkable. But we must ask, what do you want from the galactic community? Lee smiled. It was the question he had been hoping to hear. We want what we have always wanted, he replied. The opportunity to explore, to learn, and to grow. But now we also want to share what we have learned with others. He activated a new display showing joint human-alien research projects. Dr. Kim Yuna is now leading the Galactic Institute of Advanced Communication, where she works with scientists from 12 different species to develop technologies that none of us could create alone. The display showed Kim working alongside alien researchers, their different forms of intelligence combining to solve problems that had seemed impossible. Dr. Han Nari has established the first interspecies medical center, where human biological knowledge is combined with galactic medical technology to treat conditions that were previously incurable. Images of alien patients being treated with human-developed therapies filled the display. Species that had suffered from genetic disorders for generations were being healed by techniques that combined human medical understanding with alien technology. Song. Wu Jin has founded the Galactic Defense Academy, where human tactical thinking is taught alongside traditional alien military strategies. The display showed alien military officers training in human-developed combat techniques, learning to think adaptively instead of relying solely on their species' natural advantages. And Dr. Choi Sung-ho has opened the Universal Problem-Solving Institute, where the human approach to mathematical and logical challenges is shared with anyone who wants to learn. Zethra raised one of her metal appendages. Human Lee Min-ho, these achievements are impressive. But what is humanity's long-term goal in galactic civilization? Lee looked around the chamber, meeting the optical sensors, crystalline formations, and gas-form attention nodes of dozens of different species. Our goal is the same as it has always been, to survive and thrive. But we have learned that survival is not about being the strongest or the most specialized. It's about being adaptable, cooperative, and willing to help others succeed. He activated a final display showing the most significant development of the past year. 6 months ago, the Xerion Mining Consortium was facing a crisis. Their traditional crystal-based extraction methods were failing on worlds with high oxygen content. They asked for human assistance. The display showed before and after images of mining operations on oxygen-rich worlds. The before images showed empty, abandoned sites. The after images showed thriving mining colonies using human-designed atmospheric processors. Working together, human and Veltar engineers developed atmospheric processing technology that allows safe operation in oxygen-rich environments. The consortium's productivity increased by 600%, and they were able to access resources that had been unreachable for centuries. This is just one example, Lee continued. Across the galaxy, human adaptability is being combined with alien specialization to solve problems that neither side could handle alone. Dr. Mexthar, who now served as the Council's chief science advisor, spoke up. Human Lee Minho, your species has exceeded every prediction we made about your development. Where do you see humanity in 10 years? Lee paused thoughtfully. Dr. Mexthar, 10 years ago, humans didn't even know that galactic civilization existed. 5 years ago, we thought we were alone in the universe. 1 year ago, you classified us as a primitive species that needed protection. He gestured to the displays showing human achievements. Honestly, I have no idea where we'll be in 10 years. But I know where we want to be. And where is that? Asked Nothwi. We want to be wherever the galaxy needs us most, Lee replied. If there are worlds that need exploring, we want to be the ones pushing into unknown territories. If there are problems that need solving, we want to be working on solutions. If there are species that need help, we want to be offering assistance. The chamber was quiet as alien representatives processed this declaration. Finally, Korthvex spoke. Human Lee Minho, you are describing a species that seeks to serve rather than rule. This is unusual. Lee nodded. Humans learned long ago that our survival depends on cooperation. Our planet taught us that no individual, no group, and no species can survive alone. We succeed when everyone succeeds. Vextar's crystalline form, flashed with what Lee had learned, indicated deep consideration. The Galactic Council has been discussing humanity's role in galactic governance, the Council leader announced. Given your species' rapid advancement and valuable contributions, we have decided to offer humanity a permanent seat on the Council's executive board. The offer represented the highest level of galactic political power. Only 5 species in galactic history had ever been offered executive board positions. Lee felt a surge of pride and responsibility. We are honored by this offer, but we would like to propose a modification. What kind of modification? Asked Zethra. Instead of a permanent human seat, we propose rotating representation that includes species that have traditionally been excluded from galactic leadership. Let the executive board include voices from smaller civilizations, newer species, and developing worlds. The chamber erupted in surprised sounds from dozens of different species. You are refusing the highest honor in galactic civilization? Mexthar asked in amazement. We are suggesting that galactic civilization would benefit from more diverse leadership, Lee replied. Humans have learned that the best solutions come from the widest range of perspectives. After 3 hours of debate, the Council voted unanimously to adopt Lee's proposal. For the first time in galactic history, the Executive Board would include rotating representation from developing civilizations. As the session ended, alien representatives crowded around Lee to discuss cooperation agreements, research partnerships, and mutual aid treaties. But perhaps the most significant moment came when Kai Do-hun approached Lee with Dr. Mexthar. "Lee," Kai said, "Dr. Mexthar has a question for you." The crystalline scientist's form flickered with curiosity. "Human Lee Minho, when your species was classified as Category 3, you could have protested. You could have demanded immediate recognition of your capabilities. Instead, you accepted our judgment and used the time to learn about us. Why?" Lee smiled. "Dr. Mexthar, humans learned long ago that the best way to change someone's mind is not to argue with them, but to show them something better. And what did you show us? We showed you that strength doesn't come from natural advantages or advanced technology. It comes from the willingness to adapt, to learn, and to help others succeed." Mexthar's form pulsed with understanding. "You showed us that a species' greatest power is not what they can do for themselves, but what they can do for everyone." As Lee left the council chambers, he reflected on the journey that had brought humanity from dismissed primitives to galactic leaders in just 1 year. The aliens had been right about one thing: humans were the products of a death world. But they had been wrong about what that meant. It didn't mean humans were weak creatures that needed protection. It meant they were survivors who had learned that the key to thriving in a hostile universe was cooperation, adaptation, and the willingness to help others overcome challenges. The galaxy had thought it was welcoming a new species to civilization. Instead, it had discovered a new way to think about what civilization could become. And as human explorers prepared to venture into the deepest reaches of space, as human scientists worked to solve the galaxy's greatest challenges, and as human diplomats helped build bridges between species that had never cooperated before, one thing was clear: the age of isolated, specialized civilizations was ending. News of the human reclassification spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. What the Galactic Council intended to be a classified discussion became the most talked-about event in galactic history within hours. On the mining world of Zarian 7, Veltar crystal workers stopped their excavation operations to discuss the deathworld humans. In the gas nebulae of the Nethri home systems, entire communities debated what it meant that humans breathed poison as easily as water. On radiation-blasted Korth colonies, silicon-based engineers calculated how long it would take humans to solve problems that had stumped them for centuries. Kai Do-hun received the news while working in his laboratory on Nexus Prime. Dr. Mexthar himself delivered the message. "Human Kai Do-hun," the crystalline scientist said, his body still flickering with excitement. "I must inform you that your species has been reclassified as Category 1, effective immediately." Kai set down the alien device he had been studying and tried to look surprised. "Category 1? What does that mean?" "It means humans are now considered equals in galactic civilization," Mexthar explained. "You have full rights to galactic citizenship, unlimited access to galactic technology, and representation on the Galactic Council." "That's wonderful news," Kai said carefully. "What changed the Council's mind?" Mexthar's crystalline form pulsed. With what Kai had learned indicated embarrassment. "We discovered that our initial assessment of human capabilities was inadequate." That was putting it mildly. The aliens had gone from seeing humans as weak primitives to recognizing them as the products of the harshest evolutionary environment known to galactic science. "Dr. Mexthar," Kai said, "I have a confession to make." The alien scientist focused his optical sensors on Kai. "What kind of confession?" I've been in communication with Earth throughout my stay here. My people know about galactic technology, politics, and military capabilities. Instead of anger, Mexthar's form flickered with what Kai recognized as admiration. Of course you have. A species intelligent enough to survive on a death world would naturally engage in intelligence gathering. You're not upset? Human Kai Dohun, after what we have learned about your species, I would be surprised if you hadn't been gathering intelligence. It shows practical wisdom. On Earth, the reaction to the news was explosive. Every major news network broadcast special reports about humanity's new status. In Seoul, crowds gathered in the streets to celebrate. In New York, the stock market soared as investors realized the economic implications of unlimited access to galactic technology. But in government buildings around the world, the mood was more cautious. Lee Min-ho stood in the same conference room, where Earth's leaders had first discussed the alien contact. The faces around the table were the same, but everything else had changed. The aliens want to establish formal diplomatic relations immediately, he announced. They're offering full technology sharing agreements, mutual defense treaties, and economic partnerships. Park Ji-won looked up from her tablet. What's the catch? No catch that I can see, Lee replied. They seem genuinely eager to have us as allies. That's what worries me, said the representative from Russia. 6 months ago, they wanted to tax us and control our development. Now they want to be our best friends. What changed? Lee activated a wall display showing communications intercepts from across the galaxy. According to our intelligence network, the entire galactic political structure is shifting. Species that were allied with the Council leadership are now requesting private meetings with Earth representatives. Why? Asked the representative from Brazil. Because everyone wants to be on humanity's good side before we become too powerful to need their friendship, Park Ji-won explained. She activated another display showing technological analysis reports. Our scientists have been studying alien technology for 6 months. We've already improved on most of their designs. In some areas, we're developing solutions they never imagined. The representative from Nigeria leaned forward. Such as, Kim Yuna's quantum communication system now has range and reliability that exceeds galactic standards by 300%, Park replied. Choi Sung-ho has solved mathematical problems that alien computers couldn't handle. Song Woo-jin has developed combat tactics that alien military analysts describe as revolutionary. And they know all this? Asked the representative from Japan. They're beginning to figure it out, Lee confirmed, which is why the smart ones want to ally with us now, while they still have something to offer. On the other side of the galaxy, similar conversations were taking place in alien government centers. The Veltar High Council convened an emergency session in their crystal cities. Council Prime Hextala addressed the gathered representatives. The human revelation changes everything, she announced. If humans can match our technological capabilities within years instead of centuries, we must reconsider our entire approach to galactic politics. Are you suggesting we ally with them? Asked Council Secondary Gex Mira. I am suggesting that we have no choice, Hextala replied. Humans represent either our greatest opportunity or our greatest threat. I prefer to make them our opportunity. Similar discussions occurred across the galaxy. The Nethri consensus debated human atmospheric requirements and their implications for shared colony worlds. The Korth Assembly calculated human technological advancement rates and found the numbers alarming. But the most significant change was happening on Earth itself. In laboratories around the world, human scientists were making breakthroughs that surprised even themselves. Han Nari had developed medical techniques that combined human biological knowledge with alien technology, creating treatments that neither species could have developed alone. Yong So-min was leading joint human-alien expeditions to explore environments that had been considered too dangerous for galactic species. Her modified human equipment allowed her to operate in conditions that required massive environmental suits for alien explorers. Yoon Tae-hyung was working with alien atmospheric specialists to analyze worlds that had been written off as uninhabitable. His expertise in oxygen-rich environments was opening up entire categories of planets for colonization. Most importantly, humans were doing something that no other galactic species had ever managed. They were improving alien technology faster than its creators could. The turning point came when Kim Yuna published her modifications to galactic quantum communication systems. Her improvements were so significant that alien engineers had to completely rewrite their understanding of quantum mechanics. "How did she do this?" demanded Korth Chief Engineer Plexmar, studying Kim's designs for the third time. She approached the problem from a completely different angle, explained his human liaison, Dr. Sarah Chen. Instead of trying to perfect the existing design, she asked why the design worked that way in the first place. And she realized that galactic quantum communication was designed around the limitations of galactic biology. Humans don't have those limitations, so she could design a system that galactic species couldn't even operate. Plexmar's silicon-based form glowed brighter as he processed this information. "You're saying humans can build technology that we cannot use?" "We're saying humans can build technology that works better than anything in the galaxy," Chen replied, "and we can teach you how to use it." That conversation was repeated thousands of times across the galaxy as alien engineers, scientists, and politicians realized the implications of human technological capabilities. Within months, the phrase "human-designed" became a mark of quality throughout galactic markets. Human-improved communication systems, human-modified transportation technology, and human-developed environmental equipment were in demand everywhere. But perhaps the most significant change was in how other species viewed their own limitations. For the first time in galactic history, species began questioning whether their evolutionary specializations were advantages or restrictions. Humans had shown that generalization and adaptability could be more powerful than any single natural ability. The Veltar began developing technology that didn't rely on their crystal manipulation abilities. The Nethri started experimenting with solid-form engineering. The Korth investigated low-radiation manufacturing techniques. Humans had not just joined galactic civilization. They had fundamentally changed how galactic civilization thought about itself. And the most remarkable thing was that they had done it not through conquest or domination, but through cooperation and innovation. As Lee Min-ho prepared for Earth's first official address to the Galactic Council as an equal member, he reflected on how much had changed since that first dismissive message 6 months ago. The aliens had thought they were welcoming a weak, primitive species that would be grateful for their protection and guidance. Instead, they had awakened a species that would show them new ways to think, new problems to solve, and new possibilities to explore. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was just the beginning. 1 year after first contact, the Galactic Council chambers looked completely different. Where once only alien forms had gathered, now humans sat as equal representatives among the galaxy's most powerful species. The change was more than symbolic. It was revolutionary. Lee Minho stood at the primary speaker's platform, addressing the assembled council for the first time as Earth's official representative. Behind him, holographic displays showed the remarkable progress humanity had made in just 12 months. Honored council members, Lee began. 1 year ago, you welcomed humanity to galactic civilization as a Category 3 species. You offered us protection, guidance, and the opportunity to learn from more advanced cultures. Around the chamber, alien representatives listened with attention that would have been unimaginable a year earlier, where once they had barely acknowledged human presence. Now they hung on every word. Today, I stand before you not as a supplicant seeking your approval, but as a representative of a species that has found its place in the galactic community. And that place is not as followers, but as partners. Lee activated the first holographic display, showing technological advancement statistics. In the past year, human scientists have developed improvements to communication technology that increased galactic data transmission rates by 400%. Human engineers have designed environmental systems that allow exploration of previously uninhabitable worlds. Human mathematicians have solved computational problems that had challenged galactic civilization for centuries. Council Leader Vextar's crystalline form pulsed with acknowledgement. Human Lee Minho, your species' contributions have indeed been remarkable. But we must ask, what do you want from the galactic community? Lee smiled. It was the question he had been hoping to hear. We want what we have always wanted, he replied. The opportunity to explore, to learn, and to grow. But now we also want to share what we have learned with others. He activated a new display showing joint human-alien research projects. Dr. Kim Yuna is now leading the Galactic Institute of Advanced Communication, where she works with scientists from 12 different species to develop technologies that none of us could create alone. The display showed Kim working alongside alien researchers, their different forms of intelligence combining to solve problems that had seemed impossible. Dr. Han Nari has established the first interspecies medical center, where human biological knowledge is combined with galactic medical technology to treat conditions that were previously incurable. Images of alien patients being treated with human-developed therapies filled the display. Species that had suffered from genetic disorders for generations were being healed by techniques that combined human medical understanding with alien technology. Song. Wu Jin has founded the Galactic Defense Academy, where human tactical thinking is taught alongside traditional alien military strategies. The display showed alien military officers training in human-developed combat techniques, learning to think adaptively instead of relying solely on their species' natural advantages. And Dr. Choi Sung-ho has opened the Universal Problem-Solving Institute, where the human approach to mathematical and logical challenges is shared with anyone who wants to learn. Zethra raised one of her metal appendages. Human Lee Minho, these achievements are impressive, but what is humanity's long-term goal in galactic civilization? Lee looked around the chamber, meeting the optical sensors, crystalline formations, and gas-form attention nodes of dozens of different species. Our goal is the same as it has always been, to survive and thrive. But we have learned that survival is not about being the strongest or the most specialized. It's about being adaptable, cooperative, and willing to help others succeed. He activated a final display showing the most significant development of the past year. 6 months ago, the Xerian Mining Consortium was facing a crisis. Their traditional crystal-based extraction methods were failing on worlds with high oxygen content. They asked for human assistance, The display showed before and after images of mining operations on oxygen-rich worlds. The before images showed empty, abandoned sites. The after images showed thriving mining colonies using human-designed atmospheric processors. Working together, human and Veltar engineers developed atmospheric processing technology that allows safe operation in oxygen-rich environments. The consortium's productivity increased by 600%, and they were able to access resources that had been unreachable for centuries. This is just one example, Lee continued. Across the galaxy, human adaptability is being combined with alien specialization to solve problems that neither side could handle alone. Dr. Mexthar, who now served as the Council's chief science advisor, spoke up. Human Lee Minho, your species has exceeded every prediction we made about your development. Where do you see humanity in 10 years? Lee paused thoughtfully. Dr. Mexthar, 10 years ago, humans didn't even know that galactic civilization existed. 5 years ago, we thought we were alone in the universe. 1 year ago, you classified us as a primitive species that needed protection. He gestured to the displays showing human achievements. Honestly, I have no idea where we'll be in 10 years, but I know where we want to be. And where is that? Asked Nothwi. We want to be wherever the galaxy needs us most, Lee replied. If there are worlds that need exploring, we want to be the ones pushing into unknown territories. If there are problems that need solving, we want to be working on solutions. If there are species that need help, we want to be offering assistance. The chamber was quiet as alien representatives processed this declaration. Finally, Korthvek spoke. Human Lee Minho, you are describing a species that seeks to serve rather than rule. This is unusual. Lee nodded. Humans learned long ago that our survival depends on cooperation. Our planet taught us that no individual, no group, and no species can survive alone. We succeed when everyone succeeds. Vexitar's crystalline form flashed with what Lee had learned indicated deep consideration. The Galactic Council has been discussing humanity's role in galactic governance, the Council leader announced. Given your species' rapid advancement and valuable contributions, we have decided to offer humanity a permanent seat on the Council's executive board. The offer represented the highest level of galactic political power. Only 5 species in galactic history had ever been offered executive board positions. Lee felt a surge of pride and responsibility. We are honored by this offer, but we would like to propose a modification. What kind of modification? Asked Zethra. Instead of a permanent human seat, we propose rotating representation that includes species that have traditionally been excluded from galactic leadership. Let the executive board include voices from smaller civilizations, newer species, and developing worlds. The chamber erupted in surprise sounds from dozens of different species. You are refusing the highest honor in galactic civilization? Mexthar asked in amazement. We are suggesting that galactic civilization would benefit from more diverse leadership, Lee replied. Humans have learned that the best solutions come from the widest range of perspectives. After 3 hours of debate, the Council voted unanimously to adopt Lee's proposal. For the first time in galactic history, the Executive Board would include rotating representation from developing civilizations. As the session ended, alien representatives crowded around Lee to discuss cooperation agreements, research partnerships, and mutual aid treaties. But perhaps the most significant moment came when Kai Do-hun approached Lee with Dr. Mexthar. Lee, Kai said, Dr. Mexthar has a question for you. The crystalline scientist's form flickered with curiosity. Human Lee Minho, when your species was classified as Category 3, you could have protested. You could have demanded immediate recognition of your capabilities. Instead, you accepted our judgment and used the time to learn about us. Why? Lee smiled. Dr. Mexthar, humans learned long ago that the best way to change someone's mind is not to argue with them, but to show them something better. And what did you show us? We showed you that strength doesn't come from natural advantages or advanced technology. It comes from the willingness to adapt, to learn, and to help others succeed. Mexthar's form pulsed with understanding. You showed us that a species' greatest power is not what they can do for themselves, but what they can do for everyone. As Lee left the council chambers, he reflected on the journey that had brought humanity from dismissed primitives to galactic leaders in just 1 year. The aliens had been right about one thing: humans were the products of a death world. But they had been wrong about what that meant. It didn't mean humans were weak creatures that needed protection. It meant they were survivors who had learned that the key to thriving in a hostile universe was cooperation, adaptation, and the willingness to help others overcome challenges. The galaxy had thought it was welcoming a new species to civilization. Instead, it had discovered a new way to think about what civilization could become. And as human explorers prepared to venture into the deepest reaches of space, as human scientists worked to solve the galaxy's greatest challenges, and as human diplomats helped build bridges between species that had never cooperated before, one thing was clear. The age of isolated, specialized civilizations was ending.